Crosley Estate has experienced many changes throughout the years. Formerly known as Cow Hill, the area consisted of factories and farmland. Since the first wave of redevelopment in the 1970s, the residents of the estate have witnessed its radical transformation. But one thing still remains the same, and that is their sense of community. At the start of our journey into the transformation of Crosley, we spoke to some of the residents who have been privy to the changes.
At 56, yeah, in the same house. Yeah. I used to live on Robinson Street, which is a crossroad, and then I got a house on the estate when they were all new. Well, the house was new, but the roads weren't all made, you know. So when I moved in, the luggage van got stuck in the mud.
Oh, God.
so that cost me a lot of money. It was a mine.
Oh, okay.
And then, but they'd put a lot of pens on,
Right.
and then over the backside where the flats are, there were a railway over
Right.
there, and yeah, it changed a lot.
I remember, you see, how it was.
Yeah.
Because I'm the first person to come and live on this estate.
Right.
So my memories are all there. So pretty, you know, when this estate was
Peggy was
first
saying
built.
the same thing.
It was,
Yeah.
it was pretty. Could take photographs of your children in the garden and things like that, but you don't go around photographing buildings. But you know, it was, Kent Avenue was so pretty. And the people that lived there, you know, they were very nice people. We had parties in the street.
Oh.
Neighbours were neighbours in those days. But I do remember Kent Avenue particularly because I'm in Kent Ferring Walk.
Right.
So I'm just off Kent Avenue. And that was all green.
Oh.
And I remember putting on like fancy chains. Can you just imagine this?
Oh.
Fancy chains, trees.
My
There was a
goodness.
block of flats that was just 3 stories high, and they had all flowers outside. Can you just imagine how pretty that was?
That sounds
Entering
beautiful.
Kent Avenue. It was lovely.
Oh.
And there's one tree on Kent Avenue that survived it. And it's still there. And it's on the corner of Sussex Close. You know, Crosley Estate, it did have a bad reputation at one time. And that's passed over now. That's gone. We now, like we say, a new generation. And people were lovely. And I'm still in touch with one of the 2 of the elderly ones that's now moved on. But I'm still there.
You're still here.
I'm still there.
You're still here.
I'm still here, yeah.
That's
I don't know how, but I am.
Oh, how long has the estate been up now? Let me think. Since 1966. Well, I grew up, I was born and bred in a street off Denton Lane down here.
Mhm.
So I've lived here all my life and I know what was here before Crosley was.
Right.
I got married. I married to a man that was in the army, and we went all over. Sometimes you'd only just unpack and you were packing again. And when he came out, we'd been in married quarters, obviously. Of course, we got a brand new house on this estate, which we were grateful. We thought we were in paradise. And but we had nothing. We didn't have carpets, so I was on my hands and knees polishing. Because before, behind Denton Lane, where Christchurch School is now, was allotments all the way down. People kept chickens, ducks, geese, you name it, they had it. When we bought the house under the scheme that council tenants could buy the house. When the mortgage was paid off and the deeds came and I was reading through them, to my shock and a bit horror, we found out that the house is built on a pit. The pit was sealed off, and I think it gives a date, but I can't remember when. The pit was sealed off and what they call topped off. But there is coal still down there, and that's it stated there was coal still down there. We expect a cowboy knocking on door any day, and they want it back. Where I live, there isn't a road down, it's just footpath. But at the end of my row, and I'm an end house, they dug the road up, and there was a 6-foot drop because they were putting new sewers in. And the sewers were that big, they used to stand inside them when it rained, so you can imagine what it was like. We were blocked off for months. In fact, we were getting frightened because if either any of us on our street or the one back to back with us needed the emergency services, there was no way on earth they could get to us.
I mean, when you're talking about a neighbourhood that's had approximately £43 million worth of investment, new roads, new houses, new planting areas, we want to make sure that's upkept. Because if that's not upkept, the whole neighbourhood's going to come down, then it'll bring back antisocial behaviour. People will have this feeling that they don't want to look after their neighbourhood. So we want to make sure the upkeep of the neighbourhood stays strong. Then we're not talking about enforcement or recharging, we're talking about educating. This is your neighbourhood.
Now, my earliest memories of the estate will be going back to when I was a kid, cutting through to get to the canal. We used to go walking the dogs along the canal. But when I moved here, like I said, the centre wasn't built. It was still the row of shops, and none of the properties had been redeveloped or the new houses had been built. So it was a bit of a mess. It was a lot of upheaval, a lot of mess. But regarding to the renovations of the properties themselves, I saw our property before we moved into it, and they did the renovation works whilst we weren't in it, and I'm so glad they did, because I can't imagine living through having all that work done.
It became very clear to us that the real heart of the estate is Crosley Community Centre, which is a hub for fitness classes, youth clubs, arts and crafts, IT sessions, parent and toddler groups, health, housing and financial advice. Run almost solely by volunteers who are also members of the community, it was clear that this community centre is important to a lot of people.
When I first came, there was no community centre. It was basically one of the shops which they were using during the day. Some of the days where the schools were coming and using it to do some lessons with children that were causing a problem in school. And then eventually when the shops got flat and this place appeared, we've gradually, over the last 8 years, we've gradually got things going where there's more and more going on. So I do think it is underused by the community. You know, like I always say, either use it or lose it, because if it doesn't get used, you know, it's only going to be a matter of time before it gets closed.
Volunteering is actually good, so then I can help all the young people who like to play out football, table tennis, ping pong, and sometimes I help on the Xbox as well.
We run so many activities at this building. A lot of it isn't necessarily run by the Crosley Community Association. We look after the building predominantly, and people use it to book for certain activities and events. But anything around the arts or crafts or anything which engages younger people and older people to kind of interact intergenerational seems to get a lot of people through the door. We have built 88 new family homes on the neighbourhood in the heart of the estate, really, so there's an emerging new group there from different backgrounds. Then anything which kind of crosses different backgrounds coming together to do a piece of work or do something with an outcome is something that we would massively support and try and promote. And like I said, we've just done a community peer research project which is currently being analysed, but the early results are showing that people getting involved in doing activities is something that this particular neighbourhood does want.
I come here a lot, like lunch club, youth club, movie night when it happens.
And what's your favourite out of them?
youth club.
Within the centre, they do run activities that cover domestic violence and how people do go through it, as in Mental Health Week, and it's promoted other places sometimes.
Regardless that the centre is called the Crossley Centre, the Crossley Centre is not just for Crossley, it is for the whole of Chadderton and Oldham area. Anybody that wishes to come and use our centre, join in anything that we run here, are more than welcome.
Along with the redevelopment, there have been many cultural changes in Crossley in recent years. This led many to wonder what this meant for the community in the area, but many members appear to be truly embracing the cultural changes, coming together and welcoming others.
I think you're going to get that everywhere. So even where I live in Rochdale, we still have them little small problems. But again, it's just about identifying who these people are, talking to them and educating them. So we do have a little small issue here with youths, not necessarily that live in this neighbourhood, but in the surrounding areas. And it's low level stuff. It's kids on bikes, it's kids name calling, things like that. We have had previous issues in the past, so we've got a school that's not so far away from here, Radcliffe School, so they will use this neighbourhood as a big cut through to get to the tram stops or the bus stops. Little issues there. I mean, I remember when we were kids, there was always a little element of fighting, etc., and little things like that, but I suppose a little bit of social media where it's just magnified it a million times worse, and that's not the case whatsoever.
I think they faced a lot of challenges getting on with the Asian community, because we had no Asians on at one time.
Of course.
But people have got around to it now.
Oh.
But I love my neighbours, they're all very good.
Good.
There has been a few incidences around the surrounding areas, but the problem child or children don't live on here. It's really quiet on here. It's very, very rare you hear of anybody having any problems with any break-ins. The few and far between. Not much antisocial behaviour. And if there is, it's usually with other people that don't live on here.
Well, I've been on the committee here since the centre opened. We were now having multicultural societies coming in, which, you know, I mean, they brought as much to the estate as, and we wanted, the problem was we wanted to get them together, because we knew if we didn't there'd be trouble. We tried everything, and we did it in the end through the children. We got children's activities going, where the Asian children came and the white children came, and that way society started to mix. But there is Asian adults now coming to things like this and like other activities that we do. We've even got now a couple of Asian people on the committee, so it is getting better, but it's been a long, hard struggle. Now they are slowly but surely starting to come.
I don't think there have been any obstacles during 2014. The centre welcomes everyone from different backgrounds, cultures. It's a really nice place to come. I feel safe and welcome here, as I have since 2014. Everyone works together very well. Everyone welcomes everyone as from different backgrounds, as I mentioned before. They do their best to make this place open to everyone, and they try and run as many activities so people feel welcome.
I could walk the streets at night and feel very safe. Yeah, lovely people, very nice people. Yes, I'm quite happy.
Community, by definition, is the condition of sharing or having certain attitudes and interests in common. Though the residents of Crossley Estate may have come from diverse walks of life, one thing they are bound together by is their desire to maintain a harmonious environment to live in.